Thank you. So first of all, good evening, and it's a pleasure to be in front of this wonderful audience at the eminent panel for moderating on the topic of how AI and ML is transforming and bringing a change is one of the aspects which we want to cover it up. And just to give you the context here, we all should be proud of India manufacturing because we are all set into the pace to drive growth. And there is a contribution of everybody in this room to drive the GDP growth of manufacturing from 17-18%, which is currently, to almost 25%. Our domestic demand has increased significantly. We have also got a lot of guts and confidence to drive the export growth. And there is also a lot of governmental missions and initiatives like Production Links Incentive Schemes, Make in India program, Digital India program, Startup India program. So there is a lot of programs that is also being done both at center as well as the states to drive the growth in the manufacturing. So growth is the key word. And when we talk about the growth, yes, it's a revenue growth, profitable growth, salary growth, that is also important, right? So what we also wanted to talk through today, right, before getting into talking about how artificial intelligence is important and how machine learning is important. So the first context of the questions which I would like to ask is, how humans who's trying to design the solutions by taking the AI and the machine learning concept, how in your enterprise and firm you have developed the culture, how you are training your people in terms of defining your process or reimagining and reinventing your process by adoption of technologies. And if you can highlight with some examples, also along with key success stories, taking your people together by adopting the technology, it will be of great learning to the audience. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, so I think thank you for starting on that important note. I think somewhere in all our conversations, and I've been with a whole bunch of CIOs over the last, day and a half, and the biggest topic of conversation was talent and talent development, because technology will continue to evolve, but it is finally all of us as human beings who have to implement the technology. And that is sort of, becoming tougher and tougher to keep pace with the change in technology. So reskilling, upskilling is becoming a challenge. I think everybody is also, fearful of the fact that, solutions like generative AI will take away a lot of jobs. It might happen in some cases, but predominantly, as we've sort of seen in multiple, even when the industrial revolution came in, the fourth industrial revolution, or the third when automation happened, a lot of people feared the jobs will be taken away, but contrary to that belief, more and more jobs were created, and those were only created on the back of upskilling, right? And that is sort of a big focus. So when we implement, even at, at ITC, there's a big focus on adoption of, artificial intelligence, machine learning across all our manufacturing operations. But one of the, rather two things I'll say, which are sort of becoming really paramount to continue to drive that adoption and scale, is one is, driving change management at the shop floor level, so that the adoption of those technologies is, being done with an open heart, and everybody is able to use and leverage that technology to the last mile. And the second is a lot of skill development which is happening, and a lot of focus on that, right from, I'll say, the boardroom to the shop, shop floor. So everybody, right, including our chairman, Mr. Sanjeev Puri, is sitting on reviews around what AI projects are happening across the organizations pretty much on a quarterly basis. So that's the amount of seriousness that we have right at this leadership level, and it is sort of percolating down to everybody, where everybody is being sort of trained on different levels. Giving you one example, what we've tried to do is, while we have a data science team in the specialty paperboard and specialty paper division that I am sort of part of, which is actually helping us develop a lot of algorithms to drive change within the manufacturing footprint. But at the same time, we've sort of taken a slightly different approach, where we're actually picking up and identifying a few individuals on the shop floor who have, let's say, been shift supervisors, who have actually used those PLC and SCADA systems in their really daily operations. And now we are upskilling them and teaching them things like, Excel, Power BI, advanced macros. How do you do that? Going all the way up to R and Python programming, so that because they are the domain experts and subject matter experts, and they can then learn all of these technologies and then become, implementers of the technology at their own, point. The idea is to scale, and the idea is to really democratize what we are doing as an organization so that we can get a far, higher impact. So I'll stop here, and, I think we can sort of conclude discuss.
No, thanks, Gaurav. That is a wonderful way, like skilling of the people and training across all the level. And you're also choosing champions right at the shop floor, because that is where the domain expertise is available. That is the knowledge of the product available. Just to also add to the context here, to the perspective here, Gaurav, we see automotive companies calling themselves as mobility platform company. We have heard about banking company becoming platform company. We are also seeing elevator company calling themselves as people movement as a service, right? So we are also seeing healthcare medical equipment manufacturer calling end-to-end healthcare solutions provider as a space. So I'm greatly inspired talking to Saurab about water as a service and battery as a service. So can you talk about how AI, ML have helped you to give that confidence to transform your business into an as a service model?
Thanks a lot. So I'll just give you a brief about SAR Group. SAR Group is a consortium of companies. So you guys might know some of our companies like LiveGuard, LivePure, Electrics, Moving, Lime. So these are some of the group companies that we have. So one of the companies, LivePure, is primarily into water purifier sales. So we sell reverse osmosis water purifier. Some of you might have seen an ad with Sachin Tendulkar. Similarly, we sell batteries and inverters, and our brand ambassador there is Akshay Kumar and LiveGuard brand. Now, any of these products you see are upfront. You have to pay for the product, and then you pay it on an annual basis and an AMC. So you buy a RO water purifier for somewhere around 15 to 20,000 rupees, and then you have to shell out around 5,000 rupees a year for maintenance of the water purifier. Now, what happens in this is, firstly, you are creating a roadblock for some of the folks who can't pay this kind of money, and secondly, some of the services which you may want to avail, like moving your location, getting an upgraded water purifier is not possible. So we came up with something called water as a service, which is also being done by LivePure brand. So we now don't sell the water purifiers. We sell water. The point of the water dispensing happens in your home. So you buy a water purifier, which is IoT connected, sends the data to us, and as you start drinking water, you can recharge water using your app. So we now have around 2 lakh plus customers who are on this platform. It is a real-time platform devised entirely, designed in India, make in India product, which is working there. Now, some of the advantages you get with this is you get a lot of real-time data from the IoT. The data can be with respect to what kind of drinking pattern each person has. So it helps us in designing the customized plans for each of the customers. So there can be a Mr. X who drinks more water. There can be Mr. Y who drinks less water. The water quality will vary for each of the location, where our spare filters may get less consumed or more consumed. So we are able to customize those plans for each of the customer. It helps us in generating more revenue, generating more customer, leading to more customer satisfaction. Similarly, batteries, if you see, or battery along with inverter, you see, are mostly you have to pay upfront. Now, that becomes a roadblock for a lot of these three-wheelers who drive these vehicles on the road. You might have seen some of these three-wheelers, electric wheeler driving in Gurgaon, Noida, wherever you go. Now, what we have done is also allowed these rickshaw drivers to get these batteries from various dealers. So they get these batteries, and based on how many kilometers they are driving every day, they can pay the dealer, and that's how they are able to use. They don't have to pay upfront. Now, for that, we need a very robust technology backend, because we need to get a lot of data, how much kilometers it is driving, what is the temperature of the battery, what kind of environment is there a cheating happening. So that is the kind of where ML and AI comes into picture and help us in designing what kind of product should be there, what kind of technology we should infuse in.
No, thanks, Saurabh. That is really very interesting. So he covered three different aspects of Industry 4.0. The first one is the battery gets manufactured, goes to the remote field. So you need to have IoT as a capability because you need to put sensors to take the data remotely. The second important aspect is about Internet of Services, which is second important aspect, because the reinvention of the business model has happened. Rather than selling batteries and purifiers, you're also converting that into a service model, which means that you take the data, you also predict when the battery is going to fail, even before it fails, based on the expertise of the people, because humans knows what is that optimum specification limit in which a battery will fail or not, and you need to take predictive actions associated with that so that we ensure the quality of the product. And the third part is, apart from IoT and the Internet of Services, is a human-machine collaboration. What is good or bad? What is the right pressure or a temperature in which the battery should operate? Only humans know. Battery doesn't know. So naturally there is a collaboration that happens, and that's where the AI and ML is going to really help in transforming the way you actually create products and the sell products. Thank you for this wonderful example. I will now come to Ranganathan sir with all diverse group which you currently handle. We would like to hear some key success stories of how you have adopted the AI ML and what are the challenges you faced during the course of the implementation.
See, AI ML, it's okay, let us not talk about AI ML. When you convert the business pain point getting resolved, because the end user is not ready to understand AI, ML, technology, software, he is not bothered. He is bothered about what is the pain you are resolving. That is the core of the subject. Everyone is doing that. In some cases, it happens to be AI/ML resolving the issue. Okay, before we talk about the success, you have to understand what kind of people we are handling. One kind of people is digital native. They know only digital. They deploy digital because they have grown in such a way. 2,000 plus people who, there are people who are digital friendly. Why I am trying to, because you will understand the difference of adaptation. I am connecting to the people. The second kind of digital friendly. They understand digital. If need be, they are ready to change themselves. The third kind of people are so-called, they say so-called old people, but they are digital averse. But when you try to understand the pattern of people we are going to handle, the scope of AI/ML helping will be on the third category, because they want the problem to be resolved. How it is resolved, they are not bothered. If you are trying to resolve any business problem with AI/ML, with the digital native people, you will never get credit, because they know, if you do this, I get this. So try to find people who are digital averse if you want success to be tasted quickly. Number one. Number two, it should get related to the pain point of that particular set of people. Number three, you need budget. For that, management also will be in a position to understand how you are converting the problem as a solution. So that if you take an example, as a success, what is the problem? Problem is we are having manufacturing product. We are basically auto parts manufacturing, where we have 40 years of legacy system, where we have 60 years old machines which are producing those. So this is the biggest problem. What we are producing, after that manually we verify the quality of the product produced. So how we can eliminate the manpower there so that efficiency get increased, customer line is not getting stopped. That's number one. Number two, when you do a manufacturing, it will be in acres in a way if you look at it. There are certain solutions AI/ML can provide with video analytics. For example, in 10 by 10 area, there is a machine available for you. 4 people are supposed to manufacture the goods. 4 resources are supposed to be there so that you get the right quality of goods produced. If 4, less than 4 or more than 4 are there, the right person responsible, the line in charge is informed so that he takes a corrective action so that either cost overrun is not happening or the quality which is getting produced is sustained. This is second kind of use case. This is for a third set of people. For the first set of people, if you look into, if you talk about plant maintenance, for example, take an example of solar farms where in 500 acres solar panels are deployed. It is very difficult for anybody to go and see each panel, it's okay or not. Dust jama to nahi hai. It is very difficult to. So we use technology to see, for example, the efficiency of solar power generation is getting reduced by 2%. System will go to this panel, clear this panel. That is number one way of doing. Although we have planned product maintenance, this will give an alert. For example, what happens if in the plant production, due to thunderstorm, dust may get into the panel. So predictive will give a better results for us to ensure the solar power generation to the highest level.
No, thanks, Ranganathan. Great examples, right? The scale of 500 acres, humanly it's impossible to go and inspect, identify what is working, what is not working. So I need some kind of a mode, and that's where the AI and ML will come into a play in terms of scaling, right? So one of the key aspects of AI ML is that how it is able to help in scaling up the capability for me to better manage my or deliver the services, right? You also spoke nicely about it's not about just putting about a technology. What is that end outcome and what is a business outcome which you wanted to try to? I think that is a very important aspect which you covered. You also brought in a very nice way, right? If you really want to be successful, I think very nicely talk about identify the different types of the people and what they are good at. Some of them are good at digital, some of them not averse to digital, and bring the different skills played together to make it really successful program, right? So it's great view. And Gaurav, I will go to you next, right? In terms of you having another big diverse group to handle capabilities, how these Industry 4.0 programs are being shaped across the group, and if you could articulate some examples how you are driving it.
Sure. So as we all know, right, ITC as a group is a very diverse group. We have businesses from FMCG, to stationery, to paper and paper boards like I'm talking about, etc. So in all of these, there are different priorities, and like Sir mentioned, right, we've always taken the approach that what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and put the problem, define the problem, and the technology will follow. 2-3 things that we've sort of realized is that from a problem statement perspective, it's not only enough that you identify the technology, but also drive a process change. Because a lot of places, the business process itself needs to be tuned or fine-tuned or changed to make sure that technology can really give the maximum bang for buck. So from a methodology or approach that we are doing is we are sort of looking at problem statements or deploying technology, whether it is AI/ML or Industry 4.0, or it can be simply an RFID kind of a solution. But the whole idea is to try and see whether that technology will give me efficiency impact or a productivity impact, which can directly contribute to my bottom line. Second, can technology really come in and help me increase my revenue, right? And it's a great example that Saurab gave on creating a productization to a service, converting that more into a service, right? So what is the revenue impact? And third, which is very, very close to our heart as ITC, is more a societal impact as well. So we, as a lot of you might know or might not know, ITC has been water positive, carbon positive, waste positive for more than 15 years, right? And all that has happened because there's a big focus on, how we sort of give back to the society, what we do, and how do we manage our societal impacts as well. So these three layers, right? And from a society perspective, safety of the workmen becomes very important from a mill context. Decarbonization, sustainability, which is a big focus today, but is something that we've been doing for many, many years. That sort of becomes a big focus. So how do we really leverage technology in all of these areas? Is sort of one parameter that we look at. And it's very important to look at this parameter because for every investment that we make, the metric or success metric or how I define ROI for the project actually goes ahead and changes. Because in some cases, like I'll go back to the sustainability example, it is not about the amount of money that I'm putting in, but it is about the societal impact that it's actually creating. Is it actually impacting farmer outcomes in our case? Because a lot of our businesses, actually all of our businesses are linked back to, working with the agri products, working very closely with the farmers. So can we create a positive impact back to the farmers? So there is an ITC Mars platform that we've created to sort of really connect with the farmers. So in that case, we're not looking at putting in money. So it's not the cost aspect. So it's not a direct ROI. But the ROI there, the measure there is, can I create farmer outcomes? But if I'm actually looking at an Industry 4.0 or an AI kind of a solution in, let's say, a power generation kind of an example, right? In that case, again, I'm looking at coal saving. I'm looking at fossil fuel saving. So hence, how much of decarbonization can I actually end up doing using that? And we have some brilliant examples of work that we've done, which has also saved us money. But the money saving is incidental, but the actual coal saving is more important. So that's sort of one parameter on, one way that we are sort of structuring of classifying projects. The other piece is also to look at, whenever we are doing all these projects, we are also looking at, and I think Jay mentioned about scale. So keeping in mind that whatever projects we do, they should not die at a POC stage. Because sometimes a lot of things look very good as a proof of concept. Everybody feels very excited, but when you actually go down to scaling, then you realize that, it's not really scalable. You realize that the ROI doesn't really work from a scale perspective. You realize that, adoption is, it's going to be very, very tough. Or you also realize that the startup that you're working with is probably a startup whose technology isn't mature enough to scale. So keeping that lens of scale, because considering that we are a large conglomerate and, we have to keep the scale in mind, is very, very important when we actually, take on projects at the onset itself, right? So there are multiple different strategic approaches that we take when we actually pick up any, project and we go for a full deployment.
No, thanks, Gaurav. That is a very wonderful point, right? I'm just trying to synthesize the points what you did. I think you really spoke about that impact that truly matters. You spoke about whenever I'm trying to implement these technologies, I want to think around what kind of economic impact I'm going to make. Am I generating revenue? Am I doing it with much cost optimized? What is the ROI? So I think the economic impact you spoke nicely. You spoke about the social impact, which is the second important aspect, right? Because these are all going to be used by the farmers, and I need to ensure that or give it that positive influence and bring that social impact. And the third part, you also spoke about decarbonization and sustainability impact. I think social impact, economic impact, sustainability impact point of view. I would go to the next question here to both Saurab here. The knowledge within your firm is what the knowledge within the firm. And Gaurav spoke about getting ecosystem players like startups coming together, or in that some cases could be the college, universities, other industry ecosystem players. If you could articulate examples, because you have implemented and you're running a business, water as a service and battery as a service, how you have used your ecosystem players for a successful program of Industry 4.0 and how AI/ML adoption you have done.
Thanks, Jai. So I think when you look at organization like SAR Group, so we are not Amazons or Facebooks or Googles, right? That's a challenge. And when you say we are working on water as a service with 2 lakh devices or maybe 5 lakh batteries, sending real-time data to cloud and doing certain analytics, and Ranganathan sir mentioned that you need to have a cutoff whenever. So when you sell battery, right, there are a lot of responsibility. The battery cannot catch fire. There are regular government norms. So you need to do, cutting edge data analytics, and getting talent is extremely difficult. So what we do usually is look at internal talent and try to develop them through workshop, training, etc. I mean, what I have seen personally in a lot of these developers have passion, but they don't have purpose. So, I mean, if somebody with Python skills will say, I want to do AI, ML, but in the end, you realize that passion without purpose leads to frustration. The guy is passionate, he wants to do something, but he does not have a purpose, right? In the end, it leads to frustration. Similarly, if the guy has a purpose without passion, he will start procrastinating. So you need to find purpose as well as passion for these guys to be trained. What we usually do when there is an innovation required where we feel that we will be doing frequent changes, we ourselves don't know how it is going to work, we try to engage startups because we find them much more flexible in their approach. They want to solve a problem. When we have a problem which is very well defined for us, we engage larger enterprises. That's where we know that the scale will come in, which maybe the startups community may not be able to fill in for us. But in the end, it is about talent, retaining talent, developing a talent. I think when we talk about AI, ML, I think the core is whether you have the talent in place to solve your problem. The problem may be understood, but solving that may require the kind of the resources which you may not be having. I think that's where the bottom line is, whether whenever you want to solve an AI, ML related problem, you need data science guys, you need guys who can write code, who can run large ecosystems. That's where I think the challenge comes in.
Saurab, thanks. It's a wonderful summary. Without ecosystem players, we will not be running a successful Industry 4.0 adoption of the AI/ML. You highlighted very nicely. And I will also come to Ranganathan, sir. You spoke about wonderful examples about preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance, application of AI/ML around the quality dimension of the product and everything. So I just want to hear how your internal employees and what are the programs which are running for internal employees for the adoption of AI and ML in your organization?
See, I will take this AI ML has got two aspects. One is the end user. The next is so-called technical. There are two sets of people. We have two sets of things happening. For example, if you take about when we develop a product using AI ML, it has to get deployed. This means the people who are going to adapt needs some basics, or they need to have hand-holding, or they are in a position to understand the purpose. Because understanding the purpose and making it happen is a daily duty of the person who is on the production floor. We have a skill development center across four the western region, southern region and northern region, where we take fresh IITs, ITIs and diploma holders, and we train them for digital also, because we are having a set of curriculum which is supported by government, where government is also helping us financially. Over and above, we take fresh people, put them on our SDC, the Skill Development Center, and we have incorporated digital also into that. Because I cannot give a digital knowledge for all 6 months, because the purpose of manufacturing person is different from purpose of digital adoption by manufacturing. So we started putting the ecosystem in place to make things happen. This is one kind of people management which is mandate, and it will be there for years. This has to continue. The other side is development, where we focus only on AI/ML for manufacturing, where we have so-called data scientists, UI developers, and then we have inculcated a separate, we have spin out a separate company called Third AI, where we develop product for our company and put it on the test bed and try to scale it. When we are trying to scale, we have problems. We will have problems because developing product implementing in one plant is different from developing product, implementing in 70 plants. So there is a knowledge gap within. That is the time we take third-party ecosystem into place, so that when it goes beyond our capability, we try to take the third-party ecosystem, and then for scaling purpose, we use them. So this is how we are managing.
No, that's a very good perspective. If I want to really bring the digital transformation, we have set up a separate entity that focuses around it. I think that is a perspective. And and in a way, it is also the talent focus around that entity becomes an important. And they also get a widespread experience because you have a diverse group, so they get to challenge different sides of problem depending upon the different set of challenges coming from each, right? And scaling naturally needs ecosystem player around it. So thank you for that. So I know it's coming up to the time to do. I just want to hear from each one of you one last sentence or view around what is that one big idea which you are trying to think or dreaming about to implement from Industry 4.0 context in your organization?
So I think from a company perspective, obviously there are multiple projects going on, and I don't think I'll sort of really focus on that because I think every organization has its own priority. But I think two things which are really, really important as we scale and adoption of Industry 4.0 on the manufacturing side. One is OT security becomes really, really important. So IT-OT integration is happening. While a lot of us don't like that because it is still prohibitively expensive, the market really hasn't matured. But I think that is a bitter bullet that, or a bitter pill that we'll all have to bite someday or the other. So my request to everybody is, start thinking proactively around how you can, when you integrate your IT and OT environments, right, how do you really take care of security, OT security? That's sort of point one. Point two, I think from a nation development perspective, and then, Jay, I think that's where you started off with, I think it is imperative that the MSME communities also sort of jump onto the bandwagon of adopting Industry 4.0 to digitize their operations. And we need to find cost-effective solutions. And I think the earlier panel was also talking and alluding to it that, if we take everything which is imported, it really won't work. So I think challenge back to our startup ecosystem to make sure that they can come up with cost-effective and viable solutions which our MSME communities can start adopting and become far more productive. Because two ways it sort of helps. One is they themselves prosper and their profitabilities and outcomes improve. Second, a lot of these MSMEs are also providers back to large corporates domestically and internationally, because there is a lot of export that MSMEs do today. And going forward, with norms like EUDR and sustainability and scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, becoming more and more prevalent, it is imperative that they sort of start managing their emissions, because within India, if they're suppliers to a large conglomerate, let's say like ITC, then, they will, somewhere when scope 3 becomes mandated, it is not today, they need to be ready. Two, if they're directly exporting abroad, they need to make sure that they comply with EUDR and complete traceability, of area and then their own operations. So I think digitization is the way to go. They have to make sure that they do it, and the startup community, the academia, and all of us, as corporates, have a responsibility back to help the MSME community. So I'll sort of leave the team with that thought.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think that's a wonderful summary to the session. I know the time is up here to conclude. So with quick words, right? We spoke about technologies, we spoke about examples of AI/ML, but I think what is fundamental here is that you can give any amount of money and buy a technology, but the real difference will be made by the people, the culture, and expertise, and how you bring all of them together, including the ecosystem players, is going to play an important role in shaping up Industry 4.0. So with that, thank you. People and culture are important for a successful Industry 4.0 program. With that one-liner, we can conclude this panel. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to connect with all of you, and it is a great learning and experiences of the best practices. Thank you.